Throughout the last week, GW students have called for the resignation of Student Association President Howard Brookins III, following accusations of sexual harassment from a female student. The accusation first appeared on @GWSurvivors, an Instagram account for survivors to tell their stories anonymously, and was subsequently posted publicly by the female student on her Twitter account on Friday, January 22nd. On Monday, January 25th, the SA Senate held their second meeting of the semester. Senator Thomas Fognaccio of the Governance and Nominations Committee officially listed the charges for the impeachment of Brookins, citing 4 violations of the organization's bylaws. The impeachment charges were not on the basis of sexual harassment accusations. As reported by the GW Hatchet, 39 of the 43 Senate members signed a petition to begin impeachment proceedings and officially filed the impeachment charges against Brookins. Brookins was not in attendance at the meeting, and neither he nor the female student has commented on the matter. Brandon Hill, the Student Association's executive vice president, sat down with GWeek on Wednesday to discuss the state of the impeachment and how survivors can better be supported by the Student Association, the student body, and GW as a university.
I think that starting off, when I was elected to be the executive vice president, I was super excited to be a part of such an awesome leadership team, one that was all Black and trying to support as many people of color and minorities as possible. I think early on, it was made aware to me that this wasn't going to be as much as a team effort as I had thought it was, which led me to take on a lot of my own initiatives by myself and focus more on my role in the legislative branch rather than the executive branch. And as I did that retreat and focused on the legislative branch, the executive branch really started to suffer. And I saw that firsthand in terms of the sexism that became pervasive, just an inefficient workplace, specifically regarding so many new individuals in the Student Association who are looking to be mentored and supported and didn't receive that. And so I think there's a clear dereliction of duty in the role of the president thus far, and their inability to effectively do their job. And I think if you're failing to do your job internally, you should at least be succeeding to do that externally. And so I think with recent allegations that's come up, it's obviously that the SA as a whole, but more specifically the president, have fallen out of favor with the student body. And I think that's when a resignation is in term. And that's why I felt so called to release my statement, specifically with how silent the Student Association has been, that students need to know that someone in the SA was there on their side, and I just had to be that someone. So my stance is on resignation. The Senate today just submitted some impeachment charges. The impeachment is only specifically in reference to the dereliction of duty. So both internally and externally, we've seen that President Brookins is no longer fit for office, and it's my hope he's removed.
How did you come to know about the accusations that are now up against President Brookins, and what was your kind of thought process and initial reactions, interactions with those specific stories that are now public?
I think all the stories are definitely heartbreaking. And I think it takes a lot on the part of the survivors to come forward. And I think their bravery should be recognized. I first became aware of them with much of the student body, these specific resignations through social media. They were DM'd to me. I was sitting in a student association meeting, and I said, "Oh, we have to end this meeting early in order to focus on this." My immediate reaction, just because the person who came forward was a former student association member, was to reach out to them and offer support. And then from there, that was more of on a personal level. And then that was Brandon was responding rather than the executive vice president responding. And then it turned into, so now what do I do in this role? Like, what do I tell the student body? What do I tell the members of the SA? So I told the members of the student association that our community is in need. And so I sent an email with a whole bunch of university resources for any students that were reaching out to senators so that they were able to provide those and send them in the direction of the Office of Advocacy and Support, GW Listens, the Title IX office, places like that. And then I really just prepared my statement and waited for the right time to release it. I was hoping to get in touch with President Brookins before I started to call for his resignation. And then as it became obvious that I wouldn't be able to contact him, I also remembered that I've also privately urged him to resign. And so this really wasn't a backstabby type statement. This is something he knew I already felt prior. And so that's what made it a lot easier for me to voice it. And the work just doesn't stop after the resignation, calling for a resignation, truthfully. Right now, I'm organizing a training for all student association members to be prepared for, in terms of like bystander awareness, how to do that, what the university offers and what university resources are, because you can drop a link in a group chat in an email that says, check out the Title IX office, but what specifically do they do and what are those procedures, so that we're all better aware of how to support the survivor community. Sexual Assault Awareness Month is coming up in April. And so I think it would be really awesome for the Student Association to utilize that month and collaborate with other organizations on campus. So our work in survivors doesn't stop with just getting someone out of our organization. It's conscious and continues always.
How can the university and the Student Association as well do better to prevent situations of different forms of sexual harassment or misconduct?
On the part of the student body, I think it's calling out these things when they happen. So kudos to all the student organizations that have released statements, standing with survivors, and also keeping our peers accountable in terms of people who are dismissing any of the claims that are raised or saying insensitive things, being able to call those out and fully begin a process of healing and moving forward. I think the university is very cognizant of the culture of sexual assault that's very pervasive on our campus, but not a lot has been done. The Student Association, Students Against Sexual Assault, lots of students on campus have been pushing for a climate survey of the Title IX office, an annual review of that, and those situations have not gained much steam. There's also like an external university component of it with how the previous administration of the United States government just drastically altered our Title IX policies. And the university's response to that was a little too concerning to a lot of members of the student body. So there's a lot more specifics that I just listed, and that other people can think of, given that I'm not a survivor. And so listening to that community when they say, we need this and we need that, would be the first steps that I can think of.
What kind of message do you want the student body to be receiving from the Student Association at this point about this situation, about sexual assault on campus, about just this as a whole? Like, what do you want the student body to be receiving from the Student Association?
Well, I want students to know that we're taking it very seriously, and that we're aware of all of the allegations that have been brought forward, and we believe survivors wholeheartedly. I think there's a lot that we can do as students and as student leaders. And I think the best thing is to continue this process of healing and move forward. I think this isn't something that we're ever going to forget about, but I hope that they just don't lose faith in the Student Association. When news breaks surrounding certain communities, we always see a dip in that community's representation in the Student Association. So when someone says something racist on campus, we see a lot less Black students apply for the Student Association. So knowing that we're still We recognize that fault in our organization. We're still looking to represent everybody. Survivors always have a seat at the table and are welcome to join the SA and fight for what you're interested in fighting for. That's a perspective that we're always looking for and always need. So don't lose faith. We're not losing faith in the student body, and we're always going to be here.
My last question is, where can survivors find support in the GW community, different organizations, or resources that you think are important for people to know about?
Awesome. Yeah. I think that if you're in immediate need, specifically the Title IX Office or Sexual Assault Response hotline that they have is a really good place to call and seek help. They'll help you weigh all your options and see whatever you need. If you're interested in reaching out to students, the GW Listens, which is the peer-to-peer run hotline, is very helpful, as well as Students Against Sexual Assault if you're looking for more community building. For people who aren't survivors, there's a lot that we can do as well in terms of educating, learning, and unlearning things. SASA does some great things with that. The Office of Advocacy and Support is always helpful in providing workshops and training for those who need it. And always be a friend. The formerly known as the CARE report, now Haven reports, file those for people who you think may be in need. They work. They are really awesome resources. They're anonymous, so if you don't feel comfortable checking in on specific people, the university will. There's always resources for people in need.
This is a developing story with updates to come in the future. The university has resources for survivors on their Title IX website. For GWeek, I'm Tricia Katsamakis.